Captain Mira Ovella gazed out at the vast emptiness of space from her command seat on the starship Odyssey. For years, she had explored distant galaxies, charting stars and planets, unraveling secrets of the universe. But nothing had ever felt quite like this. Across every screen on her ship, a message blinked in ominous red letters, stark against the starry background. "Do not approach the Earth." It was a directive from the Galactic Council, transmitted across every communication channel in the galaxy. The sight of it sent a ripple through Mira's crew, an assortment of skilled experts from all over the cosmos. The warning itself seemed unimaginable. Earth had once been the cradle of human civilization, yet now it was shrouded in mystery. Mira's second-in-command, Arix, a soft-spoken data analyst from Lyra 7, looked up from his station, brow furrowed. "Captain, this message isn't recent. It's been on a continuous loop for the past decade. We're just picking it up now." Mira nodded, her gaze hardening. "Interesting. Why the secrecy? Earth has been considered uninhabitable for centuries, yet now we're told not to even approach." Arix hesitated. "There are rumors, of course. Old reports mention a catastrophic event, though details were always classified. Viral outbreak, environmental collapse, some even say a defense mechanism, something capable of eliminating any threat." "Speculation, nothing more," Mira replied, though the thought of Earth as a lethal trap intrigued her. Selva, the ship's tactician, shifted in her seat. A tall, fierce woman from the desert world of Solin, she had little patience for mysteries. "Perhaps the Council wants to keep people out for good reason. We could turn back." Mira shook her head. "Or, we're about to uncover something incredible." She straightened, her curiosity outweighing caution. "Arix, any data on Earth's current state?" Arix ran a hand over his console. A massive energy surge was recorded there long ago, and since then, no further details. The Council blocked all attempts to gather information on Earth afterward. Selva crossed her arms, her expression a mix of skepticism and annoyance. "So we're flying blind toward a planet cloaked in secrecy and warnings." "Yes, and that's exactly why we should investigate," Mira said with a slight grin. "Odyssey is one of the most advanced ships in the fleet. If anyone can uncover what's happening on Earth, it's us." The crew's murmur of agreement cemented Mira's decision. She adjusted the ship's course, setting a direct path for the enigmatic planet. As the Odyssey cut through the void, Mira felt a surge of anticipation, a thrill that only the unknown could ignite. As they drew closer to Earth's coordinates, the ship's sensors began picking up faint energy readings. The patterns were unlike anything Mira had encountered before, a strange rhythm that pulsed steadily, almost organically. "Captain," Selva reported, her voice tense, "we're detecting an energy field around Earth. It's incredibly unstable, like it's alive." Mira raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Alive?" Selva nodded, gesturing to the readings. "The field's energy fluctuates in patterns similar to neural activity, responding as if aware of our presence." Arix adjusted his instruments, scanning for more information. "This field isn't dissipating. If anything, it's intensifying." "Can we penetrate it?" Mira asked. Arix frowned. "Not without severe risk to the ship. But we could send a probe through, see what it finds." "Do it," Mira commanded, watching intently as the probe was prepared and launched. Sleek and agile, it shot toward the energy field, slicing through the shimmering barrier with minimal resistance. For a moment, everything went smoothly, then the probe's signal cut off abruptly. "Lost contact," Arix muttered, frustration evident. But before Mira could respond, Arix's console chimed. "Wait, we received a fragment of data before it went silent." Arix brought up the probe's final transmission on the main screen, revealing a haunting image of Earth. Its once familiar landscapes were unrecognizable. Cities lay in ruins, overtaken by bioluminescent flora that emitted a strange green glow, pulsing with the same energy signature as the field surrounding the planet. Mira stared in awe. It's like Earth has been reclaimed by something alive. Selva leaned forward, studying the image. I don't like this. A planet doesn't just develop bioluminescence out of nowhere. Something must have transformed it. Exactly, Mira whispered, and we're going to find out what. The crew set to work preparing a second, more shielded probe to get closer to the surface. Just as it was about to launch, a new alert sounded, this time flashing a proximity warning on the main console. Captain, Selva's voice was steady but sharp. Something's moving toward us. Fast. Mira glanced at the display, her heart pounding as a vessel appeared on the screen. Its design was unlike anything she had seen, a skeletal structure with pulsating veins of energy coursing along its surface, like blood through a living organism. The ship halted just outside the Odyssey's range. Moments later, a voice crackled through the speakers, deep and resonant. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. State your purpose. Mira took a steadying breath and responded, her voice calm. This is Captain Mira Avella of the Starship Odyssey. We come in peace, seeking to understand the mystery of Earth. We mean no harm. There was a long silence before the voice responded, colder this time. You should not have come. The Earth is no longer what you remember. It has evolved into something dangerous. Turn back now if you value your lives. Mira exchanged a glance with her crew, her curiosity mingling with a hint of dread. We appreciate the warning, she replied, but we're determined to learn the truth. Can you tell us what happened to Earth? The line remained silent, the weight of an answer hanging in the air. Finally, the voice returned, softer yet heavy with warning. Earth has chosen its path. Those who defy its isolation will face the consequences. You have been warned. And with that, the connection cut, leaving the Odyssey adrift in the vast emptiness, the silent warning hanging like a dark cloud over their heads. Captain Mira Avella watched as the alien vessel drifted away, vanishing into the darkness of space as quickly as it had appeared. The message from the mysterious entity lingered in her mind. Earth was no longer what they remembered, transformed into something dangerous. Yet, the allure of the unknown, of uncovering the truth, was far stronger than any warning. We're going in, Mira declared, her voice unwavering. Her crew exchanged uncertain glances, but no one dared protest. On the Odyssey, Mira's decisions were respected, even if they were risky. Arix, she continued, scan for any unusual signals or transmissions from the planet. We need every piece of information we can gather. Arix nodded, his fingers dancing over the console as he searched for signs of communication or data that might give them a clue about Earth's transformation. After several tense moments, his screen flickered with data, an ancient transmission, faint and broken, in a language Mira didn't recognize. It's a message, Arix said, squinting at the display. One that dates back centuries. Let me try to decipher it. Mira leaned in, intrigued. Play what you can. Arix patched the transmission through the speakers, and a voice crackled to life, faded and fragmented. Catastrophic event, population, defense mechanism, survive. The rest of the message dissolved into static, leaving only fragments and mystery. Defense mechanism. Selva echoed, her eyes narrowed. If that's what Earth developed, it's no wonder the Council issued a warning. It might perceive anything as a threat. Or it's simply protecting what's left. Mira speculated, a mix of fear and fascination in her tone. We're here to observe, not interfere. Let's send the second probe and see if we can get a clearer view of what's down there. The crew braced themselves as the second probe launched toward Earth. This one, enhanced with a stronger shield, approached the energy field cautiously, its sensors transmitting a stream of data back to the ship. The Odyssey's main screen lit up with fresh visuals, a cityscape frozen in time, tangled with overgrown foliage that glowed a haunting green. Structures that once defined human civilization lay in ruins, overtaken by the strange bioluminescent flora. It's like the planet is growing its own defense system, Eric's murmured, transfixed by the image. Mira felt a shiver run down her spine. But why the warning from that alien vessel? What are we not seeing? The probe's feed continued as it navigated the landscape, revealing remnants of human technology intertwined with the strange flora, as if Earth's natural environment had fused with what humanity had left behind. In one of the frames, Eric's noticed an outline, a faint shape that seemed out of place among the flora. "Captain, I'm getting strange energy readings from this area," he said, pointing to a massive tower overgrown with vines. "There's something inside that structure. It's active." Mira leaned closer, fascinated. Could it be some sort of automated defense? Or perhaps a relic of humanity's last days? Selva shook her head, her voice tense. Or it could be something worse. If Earth's defenses are active, we're treading on dangerous ground. Before Mira could respond, the probe's feed suddenly cut to black. A sharp beep signaled a loss of contact, and the screen returned to a cold, blank void. Eric's looked up, alarmed. "We lost the probe. Something down there destroyed it." "Destroyed?" Mira echoed, her curiosity giving way to dread. Selva folded her arms, her expression grim. "Captain, if this planet is hostile enough to destroy our probe, it may not hesitate to target us next. Maybe we should reconsider." Mira took a deep breath, weighing her options. Turning back would be the safe choice, but a mystery of this magnitude was too significant to abandon. If Earth had somehow evolved a sentient defense system, it could redefine their understanding of planetary life. "No," she said firmly. "We're not leaving yet. We need to understand what happened here and why." As she spoke, an alert flashed on Eric's console. A faint energy signature was approaching the Odyssey, moving rapidly from the planet's surface. The crew tensed, fearing another warning from Earth's mysterious defenses. "It's a drone," Eric's reported, his voice barely above a whisper. "And it's targeting us." Without waiting for orders, Selva activated the ship's defense shields, bracing for impact. The drone closed in on them, moving with unsettling precision. Before it reached a ship, however, it stopped abruptly, hovering a few meters away as if studying them. Mira watched, her pulse quickening. "Eric's, can we establish communication with it?" Eric's tapped into the ship's systems, sending out a basic signal. For a moment, the drone remained still. Then, to the crew's surprise, it transmitted a faint message in return. "Why you come?" The words were barely decipherable, as though spoken from a place deep within the planet itself. Mira leaned forward, compelled to answer. "We're explorers," she replied calmly, hoping to establish some level of understanding. "We seek to understand what happened to Earth. Can you tell us?" The drone paused, as though considering her words. Then, its response came through, clearer this time. "Earth. Changed. Dangerous. Leave. Now." A cold chill washed over Mira, but she held her ground. "We mean no harm. We only want information." The drone's light flickered, as if struggling to communicate. "Earth defends those who do not belong." The ominous message hung in the air. Mira understood now. They were being warned away, but something deeper was preventing the planet from revealing its secrets. She suspected that this drone, or whatever was controlling it, didn't have full autonomy. Earth itself seemed to have evolved a mind, one that considered all outsiders a threat. Reluctantly, Mira nodded to Eric's. "Send a final message, letting it know we'll respect its boundary." Eric's complied, transmitting the signal. The drone hovered for a moment, its light pulsing rhythmically, before it turned and drifted back toward Earth, disappearing into the shimmering field of energy. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, but Mira's mind was racing. They hadn't solved the mystery of Earth, but they had glimpsed something extraordinary, a planet capable of defending itself, of communicating its intent to protect its territory. "We're not done here," Mira whispered, almost to herself. But we need a new approach. Earth has changed, and it seems we're not welcome. Captain Mira Avella sat in silence, absorbing the cryptic warning from Earth's drone. The message haunted her. Earth had transformed into something far beyond their understanding. But rather than feeling deterred, her curiosity burned even brighter. "Captain," Selva interjected, her tone cautious, "we've received the warning, and that drone was no idle threat. Earth's defenses are clearly active, and it's showing us we're not welcome. Maybe we should turn back." Mira looked around at her crew. "We've come this far, and we're closer than anyone has been to understanding what happened to Earth. That drone could be a guardian, but it may also be a signal, a doorway that Earth wants us to decipher." Arix hesitated, considering her words. "Captain, there's a layer of encrypted data in the drone's transmission. I didn't notice it before, but there's a faint pattern, almost like a code." Mira's eyes lit up. "Can you decrypt it?" "Already on it," he replied, his hands working swiftly over the controls. "It's complex, but there's something here, a kind of coordinate map, pointing to a specific location on Earth's surface." Mira smiled, feeling the familiar thrill of discovery. "Then let's check it out." Selva's fingers hovered over the controls, but her expression remained tense. "Captain, if we approach any closer, we'll cross the energy barrier. It's unstable and could potentially harm the ship. Are you sure about this?" Mira's voice was firm. "Let's proceed with caution. We'll stay at the edge of the barrier and use all the shielding we have. If anything goes wrong, we'll pull back immediately." With the Odyssey moving carefully toward the planet's energy field, tension filled the air. Mira's eyes were fixed on the barrier, a shimmering, iridescent shield surrounding Earth, pulsing like a heartbeat. As they drew closer, the energy readings became erratic, fluctuating wildly in response to their approach. "Captain," Arix called out, "the barrier's energy signatures are shifting, adapting to our presence. It's as if it's assessing us." Selva muttered under her breath, "It's like the planet itself is deciding if we're a threat." Mira narrowed her eyes, fascinated. "Send out a low-frequency scan and see if we can get through. We need to reach that coordinate." As the ship's scanners activated, they pulsed across the barrier, sending back fragmented readings. The results painted a chilling picture. Earth's energy field was like a living membrane, analyzing every detail of the Odyssey's structure. Then, just as suddenly, a breach appeared within the barrier, a narrow opening aligning with the coordinates the drone had transmitted. "A gateway," Arix breathed, his voice filled with awe. "It's inviting us in." Selva shook her head, her instincts screaming against it. "Or it's bait, Captain. We have no idea what's on the other side." Mira glanced around the bridge, her gaze steady. "We're explorers. If there's a mystery to be solved, then it's our duty to uncover it. Keep our defenses at maximum and take us through the breach." With the crew bracing themselves, Selva maneuvered the Odyssey carefully through the gap. The ship trembled slightly as it crossed into the field, the barrier closing seamlessly behind them. A deep, resonant hum filled the ship, as though they had crossed into another realm entirely. Once inside, the landscape of Earth appeared before them, a surreal, almost dreamlike version of a world Mira barely recognized. The skies were tinged with shades of green and violet, swirling as if painted by some cosmic hand. Below, bioluminescent flora stretched out across abandoned cities, pulsing with light that matched the energy field's rhythm. "It's beautiful," Arix whispered, unable to take his eyes off the view. "But something feels off. These plants, this energy, it's as if Earth's life forms are connected, like a single unified organism." "Captain," Selva interjected, her voice tense, "the coordinates are guiding us toward that city in the distance." On the horizon, a towering structure loomed, cloaked in dense vines that glowed like veins in the dim light. As they approached, the ship's sensors detected a powerful energy source emanating from within, growing stronger as they closed in. Mira's gaze never wavered. "Take us in. If we're going to find any answers, they're likely within that tower. As the Odyssey hovered near the structure, Mira led a small team to the ship's landing pod. She and Arix suited up, prepared for a quick descent to the planet's surface. "Stay alert," she instructed as they boarded the pod. "We're stepping onto a world that may no longer recognize us as its own." The pod descended swiftly, touching down near the base of the tower. Mira and Arix exited, their boots sinking slightly into the moss-like surface of the planet, the ground alive with the faint glow of bioluminescence. The air around them was thick, charged with an almost tangible energy. "This place, it feels like it's watching us," Arix muttered, glancing nervously at their surroundings. Mira nodded, taking in the strange landscape with awe. The ground seemed to pulse beneath them, as if Earth itself were breathing. In the distance, strange flora towered like sentinels, their colors shifting as they moved closer to the structure. As they neared the tower's entrance, a faint humming sound grew louder, resonating through the structure's walls. Inside, an ancient control panel was embedded in the wall, covered with symbols and controls Mira didn't recognize. Arix stepped forward, studying the panel. "It's like a beacon, Captain. It's transmitting signals, but they're scrambled. It could be calling for assistance or warning others to stay away." Mira's heart pounded with anticipation. "Can you access it?" Arix worked quickly, his fingers tracing the controls. After a moment, he managed to activate the panel, and the entire room filled with a low, rumbling hum. Data began streaming across the screen, showing records of Earth's last days. The logs depicted a world descending into chaos, with rapid environmental shifts, unknown forces seizing control, and humanity's desperate attempts to survive. The final entry described a global initiative to shield Earth from any further harm, a project so advanced it seemed to transcend humanity's knowledge. "It's a planetary defense system," Arix whispered, realization dawning on him. Earth developed a way to protect itself even after humanity was gone. It's become a sentient guardian, responding to anything it sees as a threat. Mira's mind raced, piecing it together. Earth had evolved to guard its own sanctuary, becoming a living entity, a planet with intelligence beyond anything they could have imagined. Just then, a loud alarm blared, and the control panel went dark. The ground shook violently, and an echoing voice reverberated through the air, seeming to come from the very core of the planet. "Intruders, you are not welcome." Mira's heart seized. The planet had sensed them, detected their presence within its inner sanctum. They were no longer observers, they were intruders. "Arix, we need to get back to the ship. Now," she shouted, pulling him away from the console. As they sprinted back to the pod, the ground began to crack and split, bioluminescent vines surging toward them, as if Earth itself were lashing out. They dove into the pod, slamming the hatch shut just as the vines clawed at the exterior, and Mira launched them back toward the Odyssey at full speed. Once on board, Mira took her place on the bridge, her face pale but determined. They had seen enough. Earth had changed into a sentient fortress, a sanctuary willing to do anything to protect itself, even if it meant turning against those who once called it home. "Get us out of here," she ordered, her voice steady but filled with awe. "We're done here." The Odyssey pulled away from Earth, leaving the strange, pulsating planet behind. And as they crossed the energy barrier, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was watching them, making sure they never returned. The Odyssey was silent as it distanced itself from Earth, the crew still processing the revelation they had encountered. Earth was no longer a mere planet. It was a sentient guardian, a fortress shaped by a past that remained shrouded in mystery. But for Captain Mira Avella, retreating left her with an aching curiosity. What was Earth protecting? What had triggered this transformation? In the quiet of the bridge, Mira stared at the pale blue-green orb on the screen, deep in thought. The coordinates they had received, the strange defense mechanisms, the voice that had declared them intruders, all pointed to a truth they had barely scratched. She knew the dangers, but the mystery was too compelling to abandon. "We're going back in," she finally announced, her voice steady but filled with conviction. Arix looked up, his brow creasing. "Captain, the energy field reacted aggressively the last time. If we try to breach it again, Earth may not show us the same mercy." "We're explorers, Arix. We're here to find answers, and we've come too close to turn back," Mira replied. "The only way to truly understand what happened is to return and make contact on Earth's terms." Selva shook her head, her apprehension clear. "Captain, if we do this, we need a plan. Earth is intelligent, aware. This isn't just any exploration, it's entering a mind that doesn't welcome us." Mira nodded. "We'll be cautious. This time, we'll try to communicate with Earth directly. I believe it's capable of understanding us, of distinguishing between friend and foe." Selva's eyes flickered with doubt, but she trusted Mira. "I'll prepare the shields and systems for another attempt. We'll need every defense we have." With the ship ready, Mira led the crew back toward Earth. The energy barrier loomed before them, shifting and pulsing like a living entity. Mira took a steadying breath, her voice calm as she opened a communication channel. "Earth," she began, choosing her words carefully, "we know you have transformed, that you are protecting something precious. We come not to disturb or harm, but to learn to understand. Allow us safe passage, and we will honor your boundaries." The ship waited, suspended on the edge of the barrier. A tense silence filled the bridge, every eye on the screen, waiting for a response. Moments passed, then suddenly, the barrier shimmered, rippling as if considering the request. Then, a narrow pathway appeared, just wide enough for the Odyssey to slip through. "It's working," Arix whispered, awe-struck. "It's allowing us entry." Mira's heart pounded as she gave the command to proceed. Slowly, the Odyssey moved forward, carefully navigating the narrow path Earth had granted them. Once inside, they found themselves surrounded by the planet's strange bioluminescent flora, an alien yet mesmerizing sight. They guided the ship toward the coordinates given by the encrypted code. In the distance, the towering structure loomed again, half buried in the glowing vegetation and pulsing with energy. Mira couldn't help but feel like they were entering Earth's heart, venturing into a space few had ever seen. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Arix said suddenly, his voice tinged with surprise. "It's an invitation." On the screen, a message appeared in a familiar human language. It was a welcome message, brief and simple. "Proceed." Mira's eyes met Arix's, both of them marveling at the strange hospitality. They activated the ship's autopilot, allowing Earth's energy field to guide them as they approached the structure. As they neared the massive tower, Mira noticed symbols etched into its surface, remnants of a language lost to time, but distinctly human. The ship docked, and Mira prepared to lead her small team back to the surface. Arix and Selva joined her, each carrying sensors and analysis tools, and together they descended toward the entryway at the base of the tower. When they stepped out, the charged air was almost electric, a hum thrumming through the ground beneath their feet. The entryway opened into a vast chamber, dark yet filled with a faint glow from the bioluminescent vines that had taken over the walls. Mira felt like they were walking through an ancient temple, a place that bore witness to Earth's long-forgotten past. As they moved deeper, a quiet, mechanical hum filled the space. At the center of the room, an immense console stood, dormant but covered in symbols that hinted at its purpose. Arix approached it, his fingers hovering over the control panel. "It looks like a control unit, Captain. I think it's connected to Earth's defense system." Mira nodded, gesturing for him to activate it. The console whirred to life, emitting a soft, pulsing light that matched the rhythm of Earth's energy field. Mira felt a wave of reverence as she realized they were standing at the heart of Earth's intelligence. Suddenly, a holographic projection appeared above the console, a figure of a human, ancient in appearance, with wise, piercing eyes. It looked at them, not with hostility, but with a solemn expression. "Welcome," the figure spoke, its voice a resonant echo. "You have traveled far to seek understanding. Few are allowed here." Mira swallowed, her voice steady as she responded. "We seek only to understand, to learn what happened to Earth and why it now guards itself so fiercely." The figure nodded slowly. "Humanity faced its end many centuries ago. In desperation, we developed a protective mechanism, a mind to shield our home. Earth evolved beyond what we were, merging life and intelligence to survive. It became a sanctuary, a refuge for all life still connected to its pulse." Mira listened, transfixed. "So Earth is alive." The figure's gaze softened. "Yes, Earth became more than a planet. It became its own guardian, transforming to ensure that no harm would come to it again." Eric's looked up, curiosity in his eyes. "And the barrier? Why keep everyone out?" The figure's expression darkened. Humanity was nearly destroyed by forces that sought to exploit Earth's resources, leaving scars that run deep. Earth protects itself now, unwilling to risk the destruction that once nearly claimed it. Mira felt a pang of understanding. This was no longer the Earth of her ancestors, but a being that bore the weight of history. It remembered the pain inflicted on it, the last gasps of humanity, and had sworn to protect itself against any future harm. The figure continued, "Earth can choose to trust or reject those who approach. You were allowed in because your intentions were pure, guided by a desire for knowledge rather than conquest." Mira took a steadying breath, humbled by the ancient wisdom before her. "Thank you. We will respect your boundaries, and we will ensure that others know Earth's story." The figure inclined its head, the faintest hint of a smile touching its face. "Then Earth grants you safe passage. Leave and carry this knowledge with care." The hologram faded, and the console returned to its dormant state. Mira, Arix, and Selva stood in silence, each of them moved by the encounter. They returned to the Odyssey with a sense of awe, knowing they had witnessed something few would ever understand. Back on the bridge, Mira gave the command to withdraw. As they passed through the energy barrier one last time, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a sense of closure and understanding. Earth, now a living sentinel, had granted them entry, shared its truth, and let them go in peace. As they drifted away from the planet, Mira looked back at the glowing sphere, a sanctuary that had transcended its past and forged its own path in the universe. And as the Odyssey disappeared into the stars, Earth returned to its silent watch, guarding its secrets, knowing that one day those who approached might come with the same respect and understanding as the crew who had dared to cross its threshold. The crew of the Odyssey floated through the dark expanse, leaving Earth's pulsating, living energy behind. But the knowledge of what they had just uncovered weighed heavily on Captain Mira Avella's mind. Earth had transformed beyond recognition, protecting itself with an intelligence fueled by memories of past betrayals and destruction. For the crew, the journey had been life-altering. They had glimpsed the soul of Earth, a world that no longer resembled the human cradle it once was but had evolved into something far more mysterious and powerful. Mira's thoughts churned, replaying the final words of the holographic guardian. "Carry this knowledge with care." "Captain," Arix said, breaking the reflective silence. "I've been analyzing the data we gathered from Earth. There's something unusual, almost encoded within the energy signatures we picked up. It's as if Earth left us a final message." Mira looked at him sharply. "Another message. What does it say?" "It's layered within the frequency of Earth's defenses," Arix explained, his eyes widening as he decoded the data. "The pattern reveals coordinates, but they don't match anything on Earth. They point to another sector of space." Selva leaned in, her curiosity piqued. "Earth gave us directions." Mira's pulse quickened as she considered the implications. Earth didn't just want us to understand its transformation, it's sending us somewhere. Perhaps there's more to this story, something that even Earth needs us to discover. As the crew held their breath, Mira keyed in the coordinates, and the ship's navigation systems locked onto a distant location, far beyond the reach of known territories. With the crew's silent approval, Mira set the course, propelling the Odyssey into hyperspace. After hours of travel, they emerged from hyperspace to find themselves before a massive, derelict structure, a colossal station, seemingly abandoned and hidden away in the remote reaches of space. The station was dark, its metal skeleton stretching out like the remains of a fallen titan, with strange symbols etched across its hull. "It's ancient," Eric's whispered, studying the structure with wide eyes. "These markings are similar to those on the control panel we saw on Earth." Mira's gaze hardened. "Let's dock and see what we're dealing with." Guiding the Odyssey toward a docking port on the station, Mira led Arix, Selva, and 2 additional crew members on a cautious exploration of the colossal structure. They stepped through the docking port and into a vast, echoing chamber filled with ancient technology, the consoles covered in dust, their screens dark and lifeless. Arix studied one of the panels, brushing away centuries-old debris. "It's a research facility. Earth must have been connected to something here, a larger network, perhaps a source of knowledge, or even power." The team continued deeper into the station, navigating narrow corridors that twisted and turned in a labyrinthine pattern. Suddenly, they reached a room filled with transparent pods, each one housing a small, pulsating core of energy. Selva approached one of the pods, her expression filled with awe. "Captain, these energy cores, they're alive. Not in a traditional sense, but there's a detectable pulse, almost like Earth's bioluminescent flora." Mira's mind raced. This could be a repository of Earth's knowledge, maybe even its original intelligence, where it developed the foundation for its sentience. Arix was busy analyzing the energy cores, his fingers working over a handheld scanner. These cores appear to contain memories, recordings of ancient events. It's as if Earth used this facility to gather information from its surroundings, storing experiences, data, even history. He activated one of the pods, and a projection flickered to life in the center of the room. The hologram displayed Earth as it once was, a vibrant, thriving world brimming with life and technology. Scenes of everyday life, bustling cities, and natural beauty filled the room, images that seemed both familiar and alien. The projection shifted, and the images turned darker. The cities were engulfed in flames, the natural landscapes decimated. The projection showed humanity's desperate attempts to save their home, developing technology that merged with Earth's own energy. The final image displayed the Earth itself, glowing with newfound energy, transforming into a sanctuary, a living guardian. Earth absorbed humanity's legacy. Mira murmured, her voice filled with reverence. It evolved to protect itself, to carry on even when humanity couldn't. Arix, shaken, studied the projection. "This place, it's like Earth's memory bank, recording everything that shaped its evolution. Earth's intelligence didn't just happen, it was cultivated, grown here." As the projection faded, a soft voice filled the room, echoing in a tone that sounded vaguely familiar, the same voice they had heard back on Earth's surface. "You who have come this far, you carry the story of Earth. Know that our evolution was no accident, but a necessity. We are the fusion of life, memory, and protection, guarding what remains and keeping the universe's darkness at bay." The crew stood in silence, absorbing the revelation. Earth's intelligence was a deliberate creation, a fusion of human ingenuity and planetary resilience, a force designed not only to survive, but to preserve the essence of humanity. "Captain," Selva spoke softly, "Earth wasn't just protecting itself, it was protecting a legacy, something humanity entrusted to it." Mira's gaze hardened, a renewed purpose igniting within her. "Then we owe it to Earth to honor that legacy, to ensure it isn't forgotten or exploited." The voice continued, softer now, almost a whisper. "Those who come in peace will find knowledge, but those who seek to destroy will face Earth's wrath. This is our vow to humanity." The message ended, and the hologram faded, leaving the crew with a quiet but profound understanding. Earth was more than a planet. It was a guardian of history, a sentient protector of humanity's essence, bound by a promise to defend its memories against any threat. Mira nodded, a sense of purpose solidifying within her. They would return to the galaxy with a new mission: to respect Earth's boundaries, to share its story, and to remind the galaxy that Earth was no longer a place to conquer. It was a living legacy that demanded understanding and reverence. Back on the Odyssey, Mira set their course back toward familiar stars. The crew worked in silence, their expressions solemn, each of them changed by the knowledge they now carried. As they left the ancient station behind, Mira felt a deep connection to Earth, to the choices made by those who came before them, and to the strange, beautiful mind Earth had become. They were no longer merely explorers. They were now custodians of Earth's story, bearers of a truth that would shape how the galaxy remembered humanity's legacy. And as the Odyssey disappeared into the stars, Earth returned to its silent vigil, a fortress protecting the memory of a species that had entrusted it with the promise of eternal guardianship. The journey back from the distant station was filled with an intense quiet. Each member of the Odyssey's crew reflected on the monumental revelation they had uncovered. Earth was not only a planet, but a living sentinel, an embodiment of humanity's final wishes, a guardian of knowledge and life. Captain Mira watched the stars drift by, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. They were now custodians of Earth's legacy, responsible for spreading its story to the galaxy. She knew that this knowledge was both a privilege and a burden, something that needed to be shared with great care. As the Odyssey entered familiar space, Mira called a meeting on the bridge. Her team gathered, their faces marked by solemn determination. "Today, we've uncovered one of the greatest mysteries of the universe," Mira began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Earth has become something more, a force that protects its memories, its essence, and the legacy of humanity. Our mission now is to honor what we've learned, to share Earth's story in a way that respects its transformation." Eric's nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We've seen the lengths Earth is willing to go to protect itself. The barriers, the sentience, it's a clear warning. We have to make sure others don't try to invade or exploit it." Selva leaned forward, her gaze fierce. "We need to ensure that the Council understands Earth isn't just an abandoned planet. It's alive, aware, and it has every right to defend itself. It's not something they can exploit or interfere with." Mira nodded, feeling a surge of pride in her crew. "We'll present our findings carefully. The Council needs to understand that Earth's evolution is a testament to human resilience and ingenuity, a sacred legacy that cannot be disturbed." With their mission set, the Odyssey approached the Galactic Council's main station, a sprawling, gleaming hub that served as the heart of intergalactic governance. As they docked, Mira prepared herself for the briefing, aware of the skepticism they might face. Inside the council chambers, representatives from across the galaxy waited, their faces marked with curiosity and impatience. Mira's hologram projection flickered to life in the center of the grand room, her crew standing behind her. Captain Mira, an elder council member, began, his voice stern. "We understand you disregarded a direct directive to avoid Earth. Explain yourself." Mira stood tall, meeting his gaze with calm conviction. "We did receive the warning, but we had reason to believe it was based on an incomplete understanding of Earth's transformation. Earth is no longer an abandoned planet. It has evolved, developing a sentience and purpose of its own." The council members exchanged glances, murmuring among themselves. Mira continued, her voice unwavering. "Earth's energy barrier, the drones, the warnings, they are all part of a sophisticated defense system. Earth is now a living entity, protecting the legacy of humanity. It has become a sanctuary, a place of profound knowledge, fused with its own intelligence to defend itself from any threats." The elder council member narrowed his eyes. "A living entity? Are you suggesting Earth has become sentient?" "Yes," Mira replied. "Earth has transcended its former state. It's bound by the memories and experiences of those who once lived there, acting as a guardian of humanity's legacy. Those who approach with respect and curiosity may be allowed in, but any attempt to exploit Earth will be met with resistance. Another council member, a representative from the Andorian Alliance, leaned forward. And how do you propose we proceed with this knowledge? This revelation changes everything about our understanding of Earth. Mira took a deep breath. We propose that Earth be declared a protected territory, under no circumstances to be approached without permission. It must remain undisturbed, its boundaries respected. Earth has the right to choose its own destiny now, just as any sentient being would. The council chambers fell silent. The weight of Mira's words hung in the air, each representative processing the gravity of the request. They were being asked to acknowledge Earth as a living entity, a sanctuary that had grown beyond its past, now dedicated to preserving the legacy it held. The elder council member nodded slowly, his gaze shifting to the others. This is unprecedented, but the evidence speaks for itself. Earth is no longer just a planet, it is a guardian of something far greater. After a moment, he raised his hand, signaling a vote. Those in favor of declaring Earth a protected entity, bound by its own right to exist unchallenged, signify with approval. One by one, the council members raised their hands in agreement. Mira's heart pounded with a mix of relief and pride. Earth would finally be left in peace, its transformation respected and safeguarded. As the council formally ratified Earth's protected status, Mira felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Her crew had not only uncovered a mystery, but had altered the course of history. Earth was no longer a relic of the past. It was a symbol of resilience and the indomitable spirit of humanity. Back on the Odyssey, Mira gathered her crew once more. They had fulfilled their mission, but the journey had changed them all. Arix, Selva, and the rest of you, Mira began, her voice filled with warmth. We did something extraordinary. We brought Earth's story back to the galaxy, but I hope we never forget the responsibility that comes with it. Arix smiled. It's not every day you get to change the galaxy's perspective on an entire planet. Selva nodded, a fierce pride in her eyes. Earth taught us something invaluable, that life, intelligence, and resilience can evolve in ways we can't always predict. We were lucky to be part of that story. Mira looked around, feeling the weight of what they had achieved and the gratitude for her crew. We may be explorers, but today, we became protectors of something far greater. As the Odyssey drifted back into space, leaving the council behind, Mira glanced once more at the distant stars, feeling a kinship with Earth, a world that had fought to survive, to evolve, and to protect the legacy it held. And as the stars embraced them, she knew that they would carry Earth's story with them wherever they went, honoring the silent, resilient guardian that had forged its own path in the universe. The Odyssey set its course for new horizons, but they would never forget the world they had left behind, a world that would remain forever vigilant, guarding the memories and dreams of humanity in the vast, endless cosmos.